I walked into my high school reunion, and the first person I saw was the guy who used to make me eat pencil shavings in 8th grade, now in a cheap suit holding a warm beer. "Pencil boy," he yelled across the room, loud enough to turn heads. His name was Brandon, and in 8th grade he'd hold a number 2 pencil over my lunch tray and shave the wood off it with a box cutter until the shavings buried my sandwich. "Eat it," he'd say, and the whole cafeteria would chant it until I did. Now he was waving me over like we were old friends. I went because I didn't want to make a scene, and he threw his arm around my shoulder and pulled me into a circle of 3 guys from the old crew. "Look who showed up," Brandon said, and his hand clamped down on my shoulder. "So what are you doing with yourself these days?" I told him I worked in software. "That's cute, man, that's cute." The squeeze turned into a shake, like he was rattling a kid. My face went hot, and I stepped back out from under his arm, but he closed the space again. "You still live with your mom?" I told him I had my own place in Austin. He didn't like that, so he turned to his crew and got louder. "What do you even drive?" I told him a Porsche, and the guy next to him snorted beer out his nose. "What is it, a Matchbox?" Brandon said, and the whole circle cracked up. I let them laugh. When they were done, I told them I had to grab something from my car. Brandon and all 3 of his friends followed me out into the parking lot, still cracking Matchbox jokes the whole way. I clicked the key fob, and the lights on a black 911 Turbo flashed twice. Brandon stopped walking. "Dude," one of his friends said, real quiet. I opened the door, reached into the center console, and pulled out a yellow number 2 pencil. I walked back over to Brandon and held it out. "You dropped this in 8th grade," I said. I kept it. He took it without looking at me, and his friends weren't laughing anymore. I got in my car and drove off while he stood there holding it.